I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about multi-crops, planting multi-crops. These are my turnips, which they're starting to come on. And then these are my mustard that's starting to come on. Um, they're a few weeks old, coming up. I always like the cooler weather greens whenever I'm going to process them and vacuum pack them for the freezer. But what I want to talk about is the second crop, which we didn't put in kale. And as you can see, the little black seeds in the row. I've got about an 80-foot row. But I want to talk about buying your seed. Now, this is kale seed. I buy this at the feed store. You know, a lot of people buy from the racks at Walmart or Lowe's or somewhere. But you can see the seeds now. I had bought 4 scoops, which I planted 80-foot row, and I've still got at least half of them left. Now this bag, it cost me at the feed store, it cost 50 cents a scoop. Now you buy those little sacks of seed at the store and you're going to pay $1.50, $2 a sack. So I want to stress buying seed. Now I always buy my seed towards the end of the season because I don't know whether I'm going to plant a second crop in the fall or just plant the next year, and I just freeze them so that they stay good and come up, which those seeds that I planted, the turnips and mustard, those are probably 3 or 4 years old. I'd bought a pound, which is kind of a lot. Maybe it's a half a pound, but it was a lot of seed. But the thing is, I kind of put them heavy, as you see. Even at putting them that heavy, for $1 worth of seeds, I can do an 80-foot row. And that's an important thing. Now, this is actually kale here because my wife said, "Did you plant any kale?" I said, "No." And I said, "You want some?" She said, "Yes." So we had this little bit of space left here. So I'm going to go ahead and plant kale, and then I'm going to plant a little more mustard and a little more turnip on down in there. But pay attention to your price of your seed and realize that these will keep in the freezer. You know, put them in a freezer bag, leave them there. I've got seed that's more than 10 years old. This watermelon seeds, these are over 10 years old. They still germinate probably 75% of the seed germinates. So it's not like they're going to go bad. And if I buy a scoop, which is 50 cents worth, you know, it just lasts forever and ever because that's a lot of seed. So if you're going to buy seed and don't feel like you have to plant it all, just save what's left and go from there. When I talk about buying seed and saving seed, this row of mustard here, and you can see it's a little spotty, but it's maybe a few of them have germinated slow, or maybe I buried them too deep. But this is my mustard seed here. I've taken it out of the freezer, and I want to show you which mustard seed is really small. Most Christians know the famous saying from Christ. It said if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you'd grow into a great bush or a tree. And mustard does grow into a big bush. Now, of course, these are just greens, and we eat greens, but I'll show you what it looks like. But one thing I want to stress, a lot of people up north, and well, some people in the south too, they tend to not think about greens. You know, I know I've been in a restaurant before and I've ate turnip greens at a restaurant, and I tasted them, and that was about all I could take. Because if you're used to the taste of a turnip green based on what you get in at the buffet at a restaurant, or if you actually order them. That's not, I wouldn't say that's a taste of a turnip green. The turnip green actually has real good flavor, but whenever they chop it up and they can it, the heat process, I guess, to get the can to where the bacteria is killed and everything, it actually burns the turnip green, so the flavor is not very good. But turnips and mustard greens you don't hardly see at all, but they really have a great flavor as far as you just pick them and clean them up, put them in a pot and boil them just for a little bit, and you'd be surprised, for those of you that hadn't tasted them before. Yeah, now I was talking about mustard and planting multi-crops, and the main thing about planting multiple plantings of different crops is so you'll have them good and fresh at different times, because maybe you know, you do them 2-3 weeks apart, and then when the one plays out, or you say you're going to can a lot, you don't have to can it all at one time. But we talk about mustard, and I'm going to show you here. This is a mustard plant. This is actually, and you can see how tall it is. That one little seed that let go. Now this comes up every year. It's free range. This is where my garden used to be, and I had to move it because what happened was every year the deer would come back and kind of devastate it. I tried fencing, you know, all kind of things to run the deers off, lights that come on, sprinklers come on, and everything else, but they just kept jumping the fence and coming on in. So like I say, now all it is you have a mustard plant that wants to keep going, and it's this mustard. Now you could let it go to seed, and these are all seed pods, and you can see the little bumps look like kind of peas, but these things are full of mustard seed, and you could collect your own, but for the cost and the trouble, I let this one go to seed every year, and like I say, it'll seed, and then it'll come back and grow up into a big plant again. But it is kind of pretty. It gives something for the bees to come after. In fact, this old garden spot with its purple flowers that comes in and stuff is kind of a good place for the bees too. If you want to see more videos like this, just hit subscribe, hit the bell button, and if you like it, hit the like. Hope this is helpful.